Hello, my name is Elizabeth Kahn, and this is my persuasive speech on antibiotic resistance. Antibiotics work by killing or inhibiting bacteria that causes particular symptoms or illness. Before drugs like penicillin, bacterial infections such as pneumonia and diarrhea were of the leading cause of death. It doesn't even seem fathomable that people die from diarrhea. But before antibiotics, people used to die from bacterial infections that we now deem easy to cure. If you direct your attention to the screen, it shows that antibiotics manage serious conditions such as post-surgical recovery, kidney dialysis, chemotherapy for cancer, organ transplants, rheumatoid arthritis, and more. Could you imagine if we didn't have antibiotics or if they weren't effective? Isn't that a scary thought? Well, I'm here to tell you that that is the current problem that we face. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that 23,000 Americans die each year due to antibiotic-resistant infections already. The first contributor is the overuse of antibiotics. In a video called "Are You Overdoing Antibiotics?" by the New York Times video collection, states that according to the Center for Disease Control, in 1 year alone, more than 262 million prescriptions were prescribed by an outpatient basis. That's 842 prescriptions for every 1,000 adults. In adults 65 and older and children under age 9, that's a ratio greater than 1:1, meaning that they took more than one prescription over the course of a year. As a result, people are experiencing bacterial resistance to various antibiotics from infections such as MRSA, E. coli, and various strains of pneumonia. John C. Brown, an immunologist and professor of microbiology at the University of Kansas in What the Heck is Antibiotic Resistance, states that Pew Research Center reported that 30% of all oral antibiotics prescribed to you by your doctor are deemed medically unnecessary. The second contributor is that antibiotics widely used in food production. Before I started my research, I never even knew that antibiotics were used in food production. Steroids I heard about, but antibiotics? Greg Wright, a professor of biochemistry and biomedical sciences at McMaster University in Canada, states in Humanity Under Threat from Antibiotic-Resistant Infections that farmers and meat manufacturers use antibiotics to promote growth and prevent illness. In other countries, approximately 80% of all their antibiotic use is in their food production. That means that the food industry routinely gives antibiotics to otherwise healthy animals just to promote growth and prevent illness. Here's a diagram that shows how antibiotics get into our community. So as you can see in the center are the antibiotics. It breaks off in two ways. To the right, George gets antibiotics and develops resistant bacteria in his gut. It can go one of two ways. George stays at home and in the community and spreads the resistant bacteria. The second option, George gets care at a hospital, nursing home, or other inpatient care facility. While he's there, germs spread directly to other patients or indirectly on unclean hands of healthcare providers or surfaces. All these patients go home and join the general public. To the left, animals get antibiotics and develop bacteria resistant in their guts. Again, this can go one of two ways. Drug-resistant bacteria can remain on the meat from animals, and when it is not handled or cooked properly, the bacteria can spread to humans. The second way, fertilizer or water containing animal feces and drug-resistant bacteria is used on food crops. Drug-resistant bacteria in the animal feces remain on these crops and then can be eaten. This bacteria remains in the human gut and again joins the general public. The third contributor is household cleaners. The heavy marketing of products with antibacterial properties has flooded household products. It ranges from soaps, hand towels, cutting boards, you name it. It is in a lot. Dr. Eli of Beth Israel Diagnostic Center in Boston studied over 1,000 different hand soaps. 75% of liquid hand soap and 30% of bar hand soap had antibacterial properties in them. It is believed that these properties change the microbial environment of your home. These products also kill all the good and the bad bacteria. With the bad bacteria no longer kept in check by the good bacteria, it spreads much further and much faster. My solution to this problem is similar to that of the National Action Plan by the U.S. government, and the United States has a plan to combat antibiotic resistance. The first step is to prevent the spread of resistant infections. This will be through patients and when they receive the antibiotics. Antibiotics should only be given if it is 100% necessary, for the right reason, at the right time, and for the right duration. The second step should be restrictions on farmers and meat manufacturers for using any antibiotics for growth and prevention of infections. They must only be used if 100% necessary, and this will be determined by a veterinarian. The third is removal of any unnecessary antibacterial products in the household. Fourth is the rapid and innovative diagnostic tests for identifying these bacterial infections in healthcare facilities to stop the spread of these infections. Fifth is to accelerate research and development for new antibiotics. We need to give companies that develop these antibiotics a reason to want to, whether that's through grants or tax breaks. With my plan in action, people will only receive antibiotics if it is 100% necessary. In doing this, bacteria will have less of a chance to adapt to our antibiotics, making them more effective. Farmers and meat manufacturers will no longer have the right to give animals or put on crops any antibiotics just for their personal gain. Removing unnecessary products from your household will build our immune system and make it easier for us to fight these bacterial infections. Having better diagnostic tests in our healthcare facilities will stop the spread of these infections. Finally, giving companies incentive to want to create new antibiotics will only help us in the future, saving our lives from preventable diseases. To achieve this, individuals must work with their healthcare providers. To achieve this, work with their policymakers, make sure they are taking antibiotics only when it is necessary and for the right amount of time. They will also have to cook and prepare food properly to help stop the spread through our food production. And finally, avoiding sick individuals and keeping up on your vaccines. I hope you learned something today. Thank you so much.